Hello, welcome back to Survey 312, the legal principles of boundary surveying. If you've made it this far, you've probably already gone through the academic integrity, Unit 0. And what I would like to do with you now is to help you get started. I'd like to point out the basic flow of the course, the organization of the course, and where we're going from here. We're looking at the student view that you see on your screen for Survey 312. Your first step is to review the course syllabus, which of course you can receive via this hyperlink or at any time by choosing the syllabus navigation tool on the left-hand side of the screen. I'll choose that for now. When we come to the syllabus page, the first thing I would like to point out is these two little icons that show up next to several hyperlinks throughout the course. The first one allows us to preview the document right here in Canvas. The second one, which has an arrow pointed up to the northeasterly quadrant, allows us to view that in a new window, and indeed you also are provided with an opportunity to download the file and save it to your own computer. As we continue down through this, you'll notice that the course syllabus in Canvas is a hybrid tool. We have the actual course syllabus, and then as we continue to have our units connected into the course calendar, you will see due dates that begin to show up, many of which as we continue on have not been completely fulfilled at this particular time because due dates haven't been assigned. When you take this course, you will see these dates showing up and you'll receive notifications. Now, concerning the notifications, one of the first things that I would like to make sure that everyone is aware of is on your account menu. This is unique for each one of our students. Your account will probably not say test student, and you have some choices to set your profile if you would like to put a photograph of yourself here, a few settings for your preferences, and in particular notifications is where I'd like to bring everyone's attention. When I choose notifications, I cannot access this while I'm in the student view. You will have the opportunity to set notifications to make sure that you receive notices. This is kind of important because as you submit quizzes and homework assignments and grades get published, you will receive an email notification that there's been some changes within our class. I'm going to move forward to the syllabus now. Again, clicking the hyperlink, you'll notice that it gives us the ability to save the file, open it with an associated application, if that's what you so choose to do, or again, using the little icon to the right, we get an opportunity to preview the file. The course syllabus is very, very important in an online course, perhaps more so than in a traditional face-to-face course, because in this, you see a number of ways that we will continue to stay in contact with one another. Even though you might be at a distance, I want everyone to feel incredibly well connected. Got some information about how you can contact me. I use Skype heavily, in particular in a distance ed mode. My Skype ID is there. If you need any kind of correspondence whatsoever, feel free to email me, post preferably through Canvas, and I will try to get back to you within one day, oftentimes much, much faster than that. We're going to have a bunch of activities in this semester that relate to your involvement. Even though you might be at a distance, your involvement and your connectedness to your classmates is of incredible importance. We've got some information here about the basic course description, course delivery method, our goals for the course. Let me bring your attention to the textbook, Brown's Boundary Control and Legal Principles, the 7th edition, published in 2014 by Mr. Walt Robillard and Don Wilson. This book has been a mainstay in the legal applications of surveying for some time. In fact, as an undergraduate many years ago, I studied under the 2nd edition. Well, I can tell you that the changes have been significant since the 2nd edition, but nevertheless, the core material that we're going to be discussing is very much the same. In addition, you might find a recommended textbook related to writing and interpreting legal descriptions to be useful. I would recommend Writing Legal Descriptions by Gordon Wattles. And again, I've provided you with the ISBN. This is an optional textbook, but it is one that if you have the financial wherewithal to do so, you might find this to be an incredibly valuable reference throughout the rest of your career. Continuing on, I will use announcements in Canvas here from time to time to share time-sensitive information with the entire class. For example, that we'll have some group discussions that'll go on, and when we close these group discussions, I will probably use announcements to make some general overview comments and observations. For the most part, I'm going to try to let you, the students, to take care of our online discussions and really only chime in, although I'll be monitoring these as we go through. I'll try to only chime in if I'm asked to, or indeed to give some summary information at the close of the assignment. We have office hours. Essentially, we can communicate at any time via discussions or mail and Canvas. If you would like to have a face-to-face meeting and you're on campus, stop by my office. If I'm in my office, I typically am able to take you immediately, and if you happen to be off campus, we certainly can arrange for a face-to-face meeting in the virtual sense using an Adobe Connect room, which we can set up at any time during business hours, Monday through Friday. This class assumes that you've taken an introductory course in the U.S. Public Land Survey System, and if you have not, then indeed perhaps you have the consent of the instructor, recognizing that this is an alternate path toward licensure in the state of New Mexico. Some of you may fall into this category. What you might discover is that in the content of this course, we will not be covering much related to the Public Land Survey System. It's expected that you have had an introductory course in the PLSS, either prior or subsequent to this course, and indeed in our advanced legal course, the 412 class, we again begin to touch on advanced topics in the Public Land Survey System. I expect that you'll typically spend 6 to 8 hours per week in this course. You should keep up. I encourage you to keep up because it's basically a requirement. We have assigned readings. You'll have, in many cases, an integration paper where you will integrate the principles from the chapter of our assigned reading along with outside material, post it to our discussion board, and then indeed participate with other students, your classmates, with their submissions for the similar kind of assignment. It's assumed right off the bat that you have some essential required technical skills. You should at minimum be familiar with how to use all of the Microsoft Office applications. Now, concerning Canvas, I would like you to note that there are many resources available from the NMSU ICT staff that will help you with navigating in Canvas. At any time, you can post questions. I have a pinned discussion on our discussion board that says general help using Canvas or something of the similar sort. Now, here's your Easter egg. The Easter egg is sometimes considered a hidden benefit that some computer software has included. In this particular case, when students post to the general help question area on the discussion board, if you are the first student who can provide meaningful guidance to your classmates, you will get extra credit points. There you go. How about that? Perhaps we can get into a race to see who can help one another the fastest and provide continuous support to one another. In addition, we have some research facilities. We have a library guide for this course. We have some resources at the New Mexico State University Library. Many of these show up in our navigation bar, getting started with research, finding books and articles, and indeed something about citations. In other words, it's okay for you to quote the work of others, to paraphrase the work of others, but it's expected that at minimum you give credit to the original authors and do not try to use that work as your own, as you discovered in the academic integrity module. Not too big of a creation. It's also understood that if you're at a distance, you may have access to other computer software which is beyond the scope of this particular class, but you're welcome to use that if you so choose to. If you're on campus, we have the Carlson survey software loaded in our laboratory computers, and if the sufficient demand exists, we can attempt to have a remote desktop connection set up such that users at a distance could actually also use the Carlson survey, which might be useful from time to time. Next thing is about our online presence, netiquette. Netiquette is kind of a coined term to mean etiquette that we use on the internet. Now, what I want you to remember is that anything that you post and write on the internet is a direct reflection of you, your personality, your ethics, and indeed your integrity. So with that in mind, we would like to have everyone refrain from excessive use of any kind of slang terms, and certainly appropriate language is appreciated. Beyond that, we should probably try to stay away from the type of communication that everyone is familiar with, using your telephone and texting to your friend. Remember, you have classmates that'll be watching. Adhere to the same standards of behavior that you would follow in real life. Know where you are. Respect other people's time and their bandwidth. Posting unnecessary videos that require incredible bandwidth might not be the most appropriate way to do it. There's a list of 9 items here that I would expect you all to follow and to read through. Many of these link to an external site. Now, our course is described in a basic organization policy here, where we have a number of modules. And within each module, we'll have various types of assignments. One of the biggest ones is our integration discussions. I call these IP for short, IP, meaning integration of principles. When we refer back to our textbook, you'll notice that in each one of our chapters begins with a short introductory section. Then it lists a set of principles that in some it's as small as 10, and in others it's maybe as large as 35 or so. Important principles of the concept of the chapter. It's loaded with footnotes, which are provided as endnotes at the end of each chapter. In many cases, there are court cases that are referenced. These are your tools to begin working towards the integration of a principle. You'll pick a principle that you find particularly interesting, perhaps because it's something new to you, perhaps because it's something familiar to you. Maybe you have some personal experience. These are all valid reasons to select a particular principle. In any case, you would begin with the textbook and then go to outside sources on the internet, perhaps magazine articles, journal articles, court cases, and so forth. And as we move forward in the class, you'll have new tools that will be made available to you. We'll also have some homework assignments, some quizzes. There is a required research paper for this course that's worth 20% of your grade, and if you look at the final exam is worth 25% of the grade. I want you to note that the research paper is worth almost as much as the final exam and your integration discussions. Now, throughout the course, you'll probably see grades for individual assignments given as a percentage of that assignment. But rest assured, when the final analysis is done for the course grading, these weights that are shown on the chart is what will be applied to actually produce your final grade. We work on a basic 90, 80, 70, 60 sort of scale, and indeed there's a little bit of flexibility given to your instructor here. If I see that you're a good team player and you try to participate well in the discussions, you might discover that I have a little bit more of a lenient tendency toward assigning grades. This course is going to require a significant amount of reading and reflection, looking outside. Here's the full discussion about our principles integration papers. Our homework assignments will allow you to practice the skills that we present, such as writing legal descriptions, reading and interpreting legal descriptions. I understand that although this course is important to you, it might not be the most important thing in your life. Sometimes we have other priorities that interfere with our ability to complete work on time. With that said, I will accept late work up until a particular date, but it may be deducted on some total point value. Incomplete grades are typically not given out. These are reserved by NMSU policy for only extenuating circumstances, such as a family illness or an emergency or something like that sort. You know about the class withdrawal policy, you know about academic integrity. Here's some basic information about your computer, hardware, and software. Note that either a Windows-based computer or a Macintosh-based computer with internet access can be used for completion of this course. You might find a headset to be useful. In this reason, if you're listening to audio recordings such as this one in a public environment, this could be annoying to others. And if you have a headset on, you listen to it in private, and indeed your spoken voice is somewhat more private. This is kind of optional, okay, guys? But indeed, if you're working in a public environment, it's expected under normal etiquette. Last thing is really important here is about our web browsers. I want everyone to note that Microsoft Edge is not supported in Canvas. Part of this has to do with the Canvas system itself. It's been known to cause problems. Internet Explorer as well. So it's recommended, my preferred one is the Mozilla Firefox browser. Also available and also very functional is the Google Chrome browser. And if you happen to be on a Macintosh type of a system, you might find the Safari browser to be your best choice. Canvas, although there is an application for mobile devices, it might not be fully supported. Therefore, don't be surprised if you have unexpected results if using one of those mobile devices. Now, the remainder of our syllabus here, the next 2 pages, relates to the general information regarding accessibility, support services, technical support, accessibility topics, and many, many, many other things. Okay, so getting past our syllabus, you can always come back to home, which will land you back here at our start top page right here. Here was my introductory video, which perhaps you have seen. At any time, you can choose to go to modules, either right here from this landing screen, or from choosing modules over here to the left. And when we're ready to get going, we'll move into Unit 1, Getting Started. So I'm going to move right into Getting Started, because this is, after all, where we're at. Looking at the overview, sorry about that. I'll go back to previous. I've included navigation buttons everywhere that I possibly can. Here we go. Our learning outcomes will typically always be stated on the overview page. In this particular one, become familiar with our resources in our course syllabus, and I want you to introduce yourself to your classmates, because we're trying to build an online community. We want a friendly, helpful environment where all students can try to get to know one another and be helpful to one another. So, the activities are generally given, and if there's assessment, it comes along with. Read and review the necessary information, interact with your classmates and instructor using our online discussion board, and number 3, take the quiz. And I can move on to my next button, which will lead us into the next phase. 1.2. You know what? This is a great way for everyone to become comfortable with your classmates, even though you may have never met face-to-face. When we do this, you will open up this discussion board using the hyperlink on this page. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Describe one learning outcome that you would like to achieve in this course. Share a minimum of 3 facts about yourself with others in your class. Now, I'm not talking necessarily about anything particularly personal, but you might want to tell us if you have an affinity for motorsports. Tell us about your car. Perhaps you love the outdoors. Perhaps you're a family person. You can tell us a little bit, but again, please be respectful of the fact that anything that you post is available to the rest of your classmates to see. Some other examples might be to discuss 2 movies or television shows that you find enjoyable. Alternately, perhaps music that you're particularly fond of. And then I would like you to respond to at least 2 other posts from other students with the sense of fostering this online community. You make sure that you update your contact information on the course roster under your account and under settings, and full points will be awarded for you to participate in this assignment. When you're ready, click here to enter, which I have just done. Hi everyone, if you're new to Canvas, I hope you're finding yada yada. So I begin with an example. I'll give you my name, a little bit about my academic background, a little bit about my career. I'll offer up 3 of my favorite movies. I particularly love Young Guns. It's an older movie, but I love the correlation of the history to the Wild West that begins right here in our own backyard. If you remember Young Guns, you'll remember that Billy the Kid is one of the lead characters in the movie, as well as Pat Garrett and all of the others. Secondly, I love A River Runs Through It. This is the one where Brad Pitt starred as a character named Tristan, who goes off to war with his brother. They lived in northwestern Montana. As they come back from the war, there was problems, and there's a lot of human interest stuff that ensues after that. And an older one, just for grins, is the Poseidon Adventure, way back in 1972. And what I like about this movie is how a group of individuals from diverse backgrounds all banded together for a unified solution, their struggle for survival. I truly believe that it's a testament to mankind. Okay, so there we have it. How would we continue on from here? We would scroll down, and right here under the reply button, you can type in. And this is where you would either copy and paste your reply, perhaps insert it live by typing. But this little box that I'm looking at, I'm going to highlight it as we move my mouse around. This little box is going to show up over and over and over again in Canvas. It's called the Rich Content Editor. Now the reason I bring this up is you can certainly cut and paste. You have some font tools that we're all familiar with. But I want to point out a couple of other things. You can insert tables. You can insert a hyperlink. Now, when you're typing in the text box, one would not want to simply type in http:// yada yada yada, because it would not appear as a hyperlink. If we need to insert a hyperlink, you should use the Link to URL tool button. And with this one, then, you can type in the actual link, and it'll insert, and it'll be a live link for your classmates and for yourself and your instructor to utilize. For one example, I'll type in http://wordpress.nmsu.edu/ my first initial and last name, and it shows up as a hyperlink. Now we can come back into this hyperlink and we can edit it. This is Dr. Worm's homepage. Now, by doing that, it just makes a more meaningful piece of information for the user who's reading this, and indeed the link is preserved inside. When we click on the hyperlinks, they actually then become live and they move forward. You would choose post reply to post the reply. You can insert images, embed them directly in. You can use the math equation writer. This is a handy tool if you find a YouTube video that's useful, that is searchable. You can enter directly through the YouTube approach, which allows us to search using a YouTube search. Now, this would require that the particular video is shared publicly. Sometimes we might have videos that we use that are not publicly available. In fact, they're unlisted. And if that's the case, then your better approach would be to use the insert hyperlink. The last one I want to show you here is the film strip tool. And in this particular case, particularly if you're commenting on someone else's post, such as in our integration papers, you do not have to type your answer. You can choose the record upload media, and if you happen to have a webcam, you can take a video, and or you can include just an audio recording using this tool. It's going to use the Adobe Flash And indeed, you also have the opportunity to upload media if you have already saved it to an external file. Okay, that should be enough to get us going for this first one. Good luck, everybody. I look forward to meeting you in the online environment. Once again, welcome to Survey 312. And in the true spirit of distance education, I'm actually outdoors. Bye for now.